The sky burned with an impossible shade of amber when Zara first arrived on Earth. Her three-fingered hands clutched a universal translation device, its soft blue glow reflecting the uncertainty in her large almond-shaped eyes. Interstellar University wasn't just another academic assignment. It was her chance to prove herself among the most unpredictable species in the known galaxy. Humans. The campus shuttle deposited her near a massive complex of buildings that seemed to defy conventional architectural principles. Asymmetrical structures mixed with green spaces, and groups of humans moved with a chaotic energy that both fascinated and terrified her. Her species, the Krelnar, valued precision and structured movement. These humans seemed to exist in a constant state of controlled chaos. Zara Khalith, a human administrator, approached her, clipboard in hand, and an expression that balanced efficiency with mild confusion. "Welcome to Interstellar Exchange Program, Building C." She nodded, her silvery skin shimmering slightly under the Earth's sunlight. The translation device hummed softly, converting her native clicks and harmonics into perfect English. Confirmed. Accommodation assignment. The administrator scrolled through a digital tablet. Room 317, Horizon Dormitory. Your roommate is interesting. Alex Miller. Human. First year, Xenobiological Studies. Interesting was not a word commonly used in Krelnar communication. It typically meant unpredictable or potentially problematic. Zara's secondary respiratory membrane flickered with mild anxiety. The dormitory was nothing like her meticulously organized living quarters back on Krelnar Prime. Humans seemed to treat their living spaces as complex ecosystems of personal history. Posters with cryptic cultural references, random technological devices, clothing draped carelessly. Each room told a story that her systematic mind struggled to comprehend. Room 317 was located on the third floor, a space that seemed to vibrate with an energy she couldn't immediately categorize. Her advanced sensory capabilities picked up multiple biological signatures, not just human, but something else. Electronic devices, perhaps. Living technology. When she first entered the room, the first thing that struck her was the organized disorder. One side of the room was a carefully maintained grid of study materials, labeled containers, and precise book arrangements. The other side looked like a controlled explosion of creativity. Sketches, technological components, half-finished projects scattered with an apparent logic that defied her understanding. A holographic welcome message flickered to life. "Hey roommate, I'm Alex. If I'm not here, check the Xenobiology lab or the tech workshop. Make yourself comfortable." The message was accompanied by a brief image of a human male, brown hair, green eyes, wearing what appeared to be a lab coat with multiple unidentifiable stains. Zara's preliminary psychological profile suggested this human would be challenging to understand. Little did she know how profoundly true that assessment would become. Her first day would prove to be far more complex than any interstellar diplomatic training could have prepared her for. Humans, she was quickly learning, were not just another species to be studied. They were a puzzle wrapped in an enigma, served with a side of unpredictability. As she began unpacking her carefully organized kit, each item designed for maximum efficiency and minimal space usage, she couldn't shake the feeling that her assignment to Earth was going to be anything but routine. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor, and its primary joke was named Alex Miller. The first encounter between Zara and Alex was nothing short of catastrophic. 3 days after her arrival, Zara had settled into a careful routine of observation and study. Her Krelnar training emphasized understanding before interaction, a principle that served her well in most interstellar encounters. But humans, she was discovering, defied all standard protocols. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. The dormitory was relatively quiet, most students either in classes or engaged in various campus activities. Alex's schedule, which Zara had meticulously mapped out, indicated he should have been in the Xenobiology lab for another 2 hours. The door was slightly ajar. Zara's advanced auditory sensors picked up movement inside. Standard protocol suggested announcing her presence, but something, curiosity, perhaps, made her pause. She pushed the door open, her translucent secondary eyelids blinking in rapid succession, a sign of heightened alertness among her species. What she saw next would challenge everything she knew about human biology. Alex was in the middle of what appeared to be a bizarre physiological process. His body was covered in a strange, glistening substance. Multiple devices were attached to his skin, cables running to a complex array of technological equipment. To Zara's shock, he seemed to be voluntarily undergoing some form of biological transformation. Her first thought was clinical. Was this some form of medical procedure? A technological enhancement? A ritual? Her second thought was pure, unadulterated confusion. "Oh, shh," Alex started to say, turning towards her. His eyes went wide, matching the shock in Zara's multifaceted gaze. For exactly 2.7 seconds, they both froze. The devices beeped. Something dripped. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Zara's translation device chose that moment to malfunction, cycling through multiple linguistic interpretations of what was happening. Error, it chirped helpfully. Context not found. She would later learn that Alex was actually in the middle of a highly advanced xenobiological experiment, testing human skin's regenerative capabilities under controlled electromagnetic stimulation. To her, it looked like some form of ritualistic metamorphosis. "This is not what it looks like," Alex said, which was precisely the phrase humans used when something was exactly what it looked like. Zara's three-fingered hand reached unconsciously for her scientific documentation tablet. Her species had a fundamental rule: document first, understand second, panic never. Explanation required. She managed to articulate, her voice a mixture of clinical interest and barely contained confusion. What followed was the most complicated 47 minutes of both their lives. Alex, somewhat embarrassingly, tried to explain his research. Zara, with her completely alien perspective, interpreted his explanation as something between a complex biological ritual and a potential evolutionary breakthrough. Her initial report to her home research station would be marked as classified and potentially revolutionary, much to the future confusion of her supervisors. "Humans are weird," she muttered in her native language, a phrase that would become something of a personal mantra during her time on Earth. The devices continued to beep. A small robotic assistant in the corner whirred softly, seemingly amused by the entire situation. Neither Zara nor Alex knew it then, but this moment would be the beginning of something extraordinary. A misunderstanding that would eventually reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Just another Tuesday in the Interstellar University's dormitory. The laboratory buzzed with an electric tension that had nothing to do with the advanced equipment surrounding them. 2 days after the unexpected encounter in the dormitory, Zara found herself seated across from Alex in the university's most advanced xenobiological research facility. Her initial shock had transformed into something far more scientific, an intense, almost consuming curiosity about human capabilities. "So," Alex began, his fingers dancing across a holographic display, "you're telling me you've never seen human regenerative research before?" Zora's silvery skin rippled, a Krellnar sign of intense concentration. "In my galaxy," she responded carefully, "biological adaptation is considered a controlled, predictable process. What I witnessed in your room suggests humans operate under entirely different biological principles." The research assistant nearby tried to look busy, but it was clear they were eavesdropping on what might be the most interesting conversation in the facility that day. Alex pulled up a series of complex scans. The images showed human skin cells recovering from simulated damage at a rate that made Zora's secondary respiratory membrane flutter with excitement. What humans considered routine medical research, her species would categorize as extraordinary evolutionary potential. Most species in the galactic community have fixed regenerative capabilities, Zora explained, her translation device converting her native clicks into smooth English. Humans seem to have a flexibility that defies standard xenobiological models. Her research tablet was working overtime, capturing every detail, every microscopic change in the cellular structures. Each scan was a revelation. Humans weren't just adapting. They were constantly rewriting their own biological rulebook. The small robotic assistant in the corner, which Alex had affectionately named BLEP, rolled closer, projecting additional data streams. Its presence seemed to fascinate Zara almost as much as the human research. "Your species integrates technology with biology in ways we've never seen," she muttered, more to herself than to Alex. "It's not just adaptation. It's symbiosis." Alex grinned, a human expression that Zara was slowly learning to interpret. It meant something between amusement and pride. "Welcome to humanity," he said. "We're basically walking contradiction machines." What Zara didn't know was that her initial report was already causing significant ripples in the galactic scientific community. Her preliminary findings suggested that humans possessed a level of biological adaptability that challenged everything known about sentient species. The Krellner Research Confederation would later describe her initial report as alarmingly fascinating, a diplomatic phrase that essentially meant they were both terrified and intrigued. More scans, more data, each moment revealed another layer of human complexity. The cellular regeneration rates were just the beginning. Preliminary studies suggested humans could adapt to environments that would destroy most other species: extreme temperatures, radiation levels, psychological stress. Where other species would break, humans seemed to bend and then reshape themselves. "We're not special," Alex said, catching the look in Zora's multifaceted eyes. "We're just really good at surviving." But to Zora, that statement was like saying an interstellar drive was just a method of transportation. Humans were something more, something unexpected. As the day progressed, more researchers began to gather. Whispers spread. Theories emerged. The small research facility was becoming the epicenter of what could be a revolutionary understanding of human potential. The LEP, the robot, beeped softly, as if agreeing with the unspoken sentiment. Zara knew one thing with absolute certainty: her assignment to Earth was going to change everything. The news spread faster than quantum communication networks. Within a week of Zara's initial research, the scientific community erupted into a storm of speculation, excitement, and barely concealed panic. What had begun as a simple observation in a university laboratory was now a galactic-level controversy. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of interstellar research at the university, stood before a holographic conference of alien delegates. Her presentation was simple, direct, and utterly mind-blowing. "Human adaptability," she began, "is not just a biological curiosity. It's a fundamental survival mechanism that challenges everything we know about evolutionary development." The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. Holographic projections of species from across the galaxy flickered with a mixture of curiosity and concern. The Krellner delegation looked particularly agitated, with Zora's primary research supervisor visibly struggling to maintain diplomatic composure. "The data is clear," Rodriguez continued. "Humans demonstrate unprecedented cellular regeneration, psychological resilience, and technological integration capabilities that defy current scientific understanding." Zara sat in the background, her silvery skin reflecting the holographic displays. She had become the unexpected bridge between human potential and galactic scientific knowledge. Alex sat beside her, looking both proud and slightly embarrassed by the attention. The Zoraxian representative, a crystalline being that communicated through complex light patterns, was the first to break the silence. "This research suggests humans are not just another species, the being translated through its communication matrix. They are a potential variable in galactic evolution that we cannot predict." Prediction was everything in interstellar politics, and humans, it seemed, were magnificently unpredictable. Behind the scenes, a more complex game was unfolding. Some alien factions saw humans as a potential threat. Others saw an unprecedented opportunity for scientific collaboration. The Krelnar Confederation, in particular, was torn between scientific curiosity and political caution. Your research, Zara's primary supervisor communicated privately, could destabilize decades of interstellar biological understanding. But Zara knew something deeper was happening. This wasn't just about biological capabilities. This was about understanding the fundamental nature of adaptation and survival. Alex leaned closer, whispering, "Wild, isn't it? We're basically the universe's most interesting experiment." The research had uncovered multiple extraordinary human capabilities: cellular regeneration rates that could potentially reverse aging, psychological adaptability that allowed survival in extreme psychological conditions, technological integration that blurred the lines between biological and mechanical systems. BLEP, the ever-present robotic assistant, rolled closer, projecting additional data streams that seemed to validate every shocking conclusion. What no one in the conference understood was that human potential wasn't just about physical capabilities. It was about something more fundamental, an almost instinctive ability to transform, to evolve, to survive. Dr. Rodriguez's final slide was simple but powerful: a human figure surrounded by complex biological and technological interfaces, with one word blazing across the screen: Putin. The conference hall went silent. Outside the window, Earth continued its rotation, completely unaware of the scientific revolution being discussed within its most prestigious research facility. Students walked between buildings. Machines hummed. Life continued. Zara looked at Alex, and for a moment, something passed between them. A shared understanding that they were witnessing something extraordinary. Humanity was not just another species in the galactic catalog. They were something else entirely. The storm was coming long before anyone realized it. 3 weeks after Zara's groundbreaking research went public, the first signs of interstellar tension began to emerge. What had started as a scientific curiosity was rapidly becoming a political minefield that stretched across multiple star systems. The Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime were not designed for conflict. Sleek, crystalline structures that normally reflected peaceful diplomacy now hummed with an electric tension that spoke of impending confrontation. Representatives from 17 different species gathered, their holographic projections creating a mosaic of alien physiologies that would have been impossible to imagine just a decade earlier. At the center of it all was a single file: Zara's research on human adaptability. "We cannot allow an uncontrolled variable to exist in our galactic ecosystem," declared the Voxanar representative, a silicon-based life form that looked like a collection of interconnected crystal shards. Its translator vibrated with barely contained anxiety. The Krelnar delegation, Zara's own species, remained conspicuously silent. They understood the implications better than most. Humans were not just another species. They were a potential revolution. Back on Earth, Alex and Zara watched the proceedings through a secured university feed. BLEP, the robotic assistant, projected additional data streams that scrolled like a digital waterfall of information. "They're scared," Alex observed, his green eyes reflecting the holographic displays. "Humans have always been something of a wild card in the universe." Zara's silvery skin rippled, a sign of deep contemplation unique to her species. "Fear," she responded, "is the natural response to the unknown." The political maneuvering was complex. Some factions wanted to restrict human research. Others sought to control the potential technological and biological advancements. A small but vocal group argued for complete isolation of the human species. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had become the unexpected face of human potential, stood firm. Her presentation to the Galactic Council was a masterpiece of scientific diplomacy. "Human adaptability is not a threat," she argued, her holographic image standing tall among the alien representatives. "It's an opportunity for collective evolution." But diplomacy was a delicate dance, and the music was changing rapidly. The Zoraxian Collective, a technologically advanced civilization known for their cautious approach, proposed the most controversial solution: a complete quarantine of human research, effectively putting a scientific blockade around Earth's most promising developments. Humanity must be studied, the crystalline representative declared, but from a safe distance. BLEP beeped softly, as if laughing at the suggestion. Alex leaned closer to Zora. "They have no idea how humans actually work," he whispered. Humans had a way of finding solutions that defied conventional logic. Restrictions were just another problem to be solved. Behind the political theater, something more significant was happening. Zara's research had opened a door that could never be closed. The understanding of human potential was spreading faster than any diplomatic restriction could contain. University research labs across Earth began receiving unprecedented funding. Young scientists looked at the data with eyes full of possibility. Technology companies started exploring new frontiers of human-machine integration. The universe was changing, and humanity was at the center of that change. As the Galactic Council continued its heated debate, Earth continued its rotation. Students walked between university buildings. Machines hummed. Life continued. Zora looked at Alex, and for a moment, the future seemed to shimmer with infinite possibilities. Humanity was not just watching the future. They were creating it. The first strike came without warning. Orbital surveillance systems detected an unauthorized approach vector just beyond Earth's lunar boundary. Most would have seen a routine diplomatic incident. Zora knew better. This was an act of deliberate provocation. The Sentinel-7 defense platform hummed to life, its quantum-linked systems processing potential threat scenarios faster than human consciousness could comprehend. Alex watched from the university's secured research wing, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "They're not just going to watch anymore," he muttered to Zora. "They're going to try and stop the research." The approaching vessel bore markings of the Voxanar Collective, the same silicon-based species that had most vocally opposed human research. Its design was sleek, almost predatory, with energy signatures that suggested capabilities far beyond standard interstellar diplomatic vessels. BLEP, the robotic assistant, projected multiple threat analysis scenarios. Each projection painted an increasingly complex picture of potential conflict. Dr. Elena Rodriguez entered the room, her typical academic composure replaced by a steel-like determination. "They're making a move to suppress our research," she declared. Not a question. A statement of fact. Zara's multifaceted eyes reflected the holographic displays, her alien biology processing information at speeds that would make most computer systems look sluggish. The Krellnar had always been observers, researchers. But this was something else entirely. Incoming transmission. The facility's communication system announced. The Voxanar representative's crystalline form materialized, sharp, angular, completely alien. "Humanity's research will be terminated." The translation matrix converted its complex light-based communication. "Your discoveries represent a significant threat to galactic stability." Alex couldn't help but laugh. It was a human response that continually confused Zora, finding humor in the most tense situations. "Threat," he responded. "We're not a threat. We're just trying to understand ourselves." But understanding was the last thing the Voxanar wanted. The orbital approach continued. Defense systems calculated potential intervention scenarios. Diplomatic channels buzzed with urgent communications. Universities across Earth began implementing emergency protocols developed specifically for potential extraterrestrial confrontations. What the Voxanar didn't understand was that humans were never just passive participants. Where other species might retreat, humans would innovate. Dr. Rodriguez's team had been preparing for this moment. Years of research, contingency plans, technological developments that pushed the boundaries of known science. All of it was about to be tested. VLEP projected a series of potential response strategies. Each scenario became more complex, more unpredictable, exactly like humanity itself. "They want to stop the research," Zara observed, her translation device converting her native clicks into precise English. But research cannot be stopped, only redirected. The university's research wing was more than just a scientific facility. It was a fortress of human potential, filled with minds that saw challenges as opportunities. Alex looked at Zara, a smile playing on his lips, ready for something completely unexpected. The Voxnar vessel continued its approach. Sensors tracked its movement. Defense systems prepared potential responses. Nobody, not the aliens, not the researchers, not even the most advanced predictive systems, could have anticipated what would happen next. Humanity was about to remind the galaxy why they were not just another species. They were a force of nature. And nature, as any human would tell you, always finds a way. The universe has rules. Humanity has always been excellent at breaking them. When the Voxnar vessel entered Earth's orbital space, they expected surrender. What they received was something entirely different. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the central command hub, surrounded by a team of scientists and researchers who looked more like warriors of knowledge than traditional academics. Zara watched in fascination as human technology began to unfold in ways her species had never imagined possible. Redirect, Alex muttered, echoing Zora's earlier observation. We're not going to fight. We're going to outsmart them. The first wave of the Voxnar attack was technological. Sophisticated quantum disruption signals designed to disable Earth's communication and defense networks. Standard protocols would have suggested a defensive response. Humans, predictably, did something else entirely. Instead of blocking the signals, they absorbed them. VLEP, the robotic assistant, began processing the quantum disruption waves, but not to defend against them, to understand them, to learn from them, to transform them. Within minutes, the Voxnar discovered something horrifying. Their own attack was being used against them. Their communication networks started reflecting their own signals. Their weapon systems began receiving conflicting commands. The precise, crystal-like logic of the Voxnar was being turned into a chaotic dance of unpredictability. Adaptive response, Zara whispered, her multifaceted eyes wide with understanding. They're not fighting. They're learning. The Galactic Council watched in real time as humanity demonstrated a capability that defied every known diplomatic and technological protocol. Where other species would have launched counterattacks, humans were conducting a masterclass in technological jiu-jitsu. Dr. Rodriguez's team had prepared for this moment. Years of research, countless simulations, understanding not just technology, but the fundamental nature of adaptation. The Voxnar vessel's systems began to collapse from within. Not through destruction, but through a complete reconfiguration of their own logic systems. We're not breaking their technology, Alex explained to Zara. We're teaching it to think differently. Holographic displays across multiple research facilities showed the progression. What seemed like chaos was actually an incredibly sophisticated response. Humanity was not just defending. They were evolving the very concept of technological interaction. The Krelmar representatives watching the event were simultaneously terrified and fascinated. Zara's research had predicted potential human adaptability, but this was beyond anyone's expectations. VLEP continued processing, its robotic systems dancing with the incoming quantum signals. Each wave of attack was not just deflected but transformed into something new, something unexpected. Within an hour, the Voxnar vessel was completely neutralized, not destroyed, not damaged, simply reprogrammed. The Galactic Council went silent. Humanity had just demonstrated that they were not just another species to be controlled or contained. They were a dynamic living system of innovation and adaptation. They tried to stop our research, Dr. Rodriguez said, a smile playing on her lips. Instead, they just became part of it. Zora looked at Alex, understanding passing between them. This was more than a technological victory. This was a fundamental reimagining of what it meant to be a sentient species. The Voxnar had come to suppress human potential. They had instead become its greatest demonstration. As the dust settled and holographic displays began to clear, one thing became abundantly clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. 1 month after the Voxnar incident, the universe looked different. The Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime was no longer a place of tension, but of unprecedented collaboration. Where diplomatic barriers once stood, bridges of understanding now stretched across multiple star systems. Zara stood at the center of it all, her silvery skin reflecting the holographic displays that chronicled humanity's extraordinary journey. What had begun as a simple misunderstanding in a university dormitory had transformed into a galactic revelation. Humanity is not just a species, she presented to the assembled alien representatives. They are a living, breathing concept of adaptation. Alex sat in the observation area, BLEEP, the robotic assistant, rolling quietly beside him. The little robot seemed to vibrate with a sense of pride. If machines could feel such emotions. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had become more than a scientist. She was now a diplomatic bridge between humanity and the broader galactic community. Her research had shown that human potential was not just biological or technological, but fundamentally philosophical. The Krelnar Confederation, Zora's home civilization, had completely revised their understanding of evolutionary potential. What they once saw as a threat, they now recognized as an extraordinary opportunity. Each alien delegation reviewed the comprehensive reports. The data was clear and shocking. Humans demonstrated cellular regeneration rates that defied previous scientific understanding. Their psychological adaptability allowed survival in conditions that would destroy most species. Their technological integration capabilities blurred the lines between biological and mechanical systems. But more than the data, it was the human spirit that had truly transformed galactic perception. "We're not special," Alex had often said during the research presentations. "We're just really good at surviving." But survival was an understatement. Humanity was about reinvention, about turning challenges into opportunities, about seeing the impossible as just another problem to solve. The Voxnar incident had become a turning point. Instead of destroying the alien vessel, humans had essentially reprogrammed its entire systems. Not through force, but through understanding, through adaptation. Zara remembered the day in the dormitory when everything changed. A simple misunderstanding, a scientific curiosity, a moment that would reshape galactic history. BLEP beeped softly, as if agreeing with the unspoken sentiment. The research facilities on Earth were now open collaboration centers. Scientists from multiple species worked together, sharing knowledge, pushing boundaries. What was once a potential conflict had become the greatest scientific partnership in galactic history. Humanity, Zara concluded her presentation, is not just a species to be studied. They are a living demonstration of potential. The holographic displays showed images of human achievements, from complex medical breakthroughs to technological innovations that seemed to defy conventional logic. Each image told a story of transformation, of turning limitations into opportunities. Alex caught Zara's eye and winked, a human gesture that still confused her, but now made her smile. Outside the Galactic Council chamber, Earth continued its rotation. Students walked between university buildings. Machines hummed. Life continued. But everything had changed. The universe had expected humanity to be another species to categorize, to understand, to potentially control. Instead, humanity had reminded everyone of a simple, powerful truth. True potential has no limits. And sometimes, the most extraordinary discoveries begin with the most unexpected encounters.